Good morning. I hope I'm meeting you all healthy, even though the times are quite difficult. So let me give you a very short introduction about myself. I'm Maria George from the city of Palai, Kerala. About my academic career, I have been working as English lecturer at Alfonso College for the last 7 years. And I am a part of the government project which is titled ASAP, Additional Skill Acquisition Program, wherein we teachers take skill development classes for students as well as motivational classes for college students all over Kerala. And something quite personal about my career or about my selection as lecturer, teaching has always been my passion, to be frank. And I love being with my students. And about my online teaching experience, I've got 1 year experience as online English lecturer. And I find it quite comfortable teaching college students as well as being with my online students. And today I would like to give you a short class on literary techniques, literary devices. You know, when you start reading a novel or a play or poem, you find that some are quite interesting and some are not. If you ask me, what's the difference between those superb novels and those we find quite lacking? In one term, we can just call them literary techniques or devices used by the author. So these literary devices are used by an author, whether he's a novelist, whether he's a poet, or whether he's a playwright, whoever he is or she is. These techniques might be used by the writer to make his writing more interesting. So that is why when you take up a novel, you seem like, oh, this is a wonderful kind. But when you take another one, it seems like not so wonderful. So you see the presence of literary devices in a piece of writing, and they might be conspicuous or they might be quite hidden. But whatever it is, if you find a story or a poem interesting, for sure you can take for granted that there is a presence of literary device. And for today's class, I would like to mention to you 5 of the major literary devices. Just by title, we will go for simile, metaphor, personification, oxymoron, and of course, hyperbole. I'll explain to you what they are quite simply. Now, simile, metaphor, personification, oxymoron, hyperbole. They would be used differently by different authors. Sometimes we would see a collection of all these in one author, but it depends according to the author's wish, whether to use all of them or whether to select some of them and make it interesting. So I'm going to share a presentation with you so that we can follow those notes, and I'll explain to you what simile, metaphor, and all of them are. So to talk about simile, it's just like a kind of a comparison. Let me give you a very short introduction. Like if when a lover tells his lady love, I love you, and in another way, he tells her, my love is like a red, red rose. Do you see the difference? There is a lot of difference between when a person says somebody, I love you, and says in another way, my love is like a red, red rose. So the second line seems to be more catchy. So that is how the particular sentence is made interesting. So simile is when 2 things are compared using like or as. See that example over there. Sweet as a honeybee. So if I tell you, you are as sweet as a honeybee, won't a smile come to your face? Or if I am seeing a warrior in a war, and I look at him and say, oh, he's roaring like a lion. So one person or one thing is being compared to another thing, even though there is no one particular connection between the two. You have no special connection with a honeybee, but still, I am comparing you to a honeybee. So this is a simile. Now, if we go to what is a metaphor, and there are further examples of similes if you want them. She swims like a fish. His ass hairy as a gorilla. See those terms, like and ass. They're repeatedly being used to talk about a simile. Peter laughs like a hyena. I love me. It is as easy as ABC. So these are all comparisons. And you call them simile. And what is a metaphor? Metaphor is a kind of a comparison in which you say one thing is the same as the other. For example, if I look at you and say, "Oh, you are a walking dictionary," you seems to be an intellectual, and I say about you, "You are a walking dictionary." Oh, he is a walking dictionary. I'm not telling he is like a walking dictionary. I am just giving him the comparison. Like I'm just telling him that, or he is himself a walking dictionary. So metaphor seems to be a more powerful one than simile, even though it is also a kind of a comparison. Now, if you want to make it very clear what is the difference between a simile and metaphor, see on screen. When I say her heart is like gold, that's a simile. That's a comparison using the word like. But in metaphor, see, her heart is gold. There is no, the use of word like is not used there. You are just telling the person her heart is gold. Or the word is like a stage, that's a simile because of the presence of that word like. But when you say the word is a stage, you're saying that one thing is the same as the other. Not like one thing is like the other. If you're using like, it is a simile. Now, we come to another very useful kind of a literary device, which is called as personification. Now, what's personification? Just literally, quite literally, you can understand the meaning of personification. Personify. You are giving certain human attributes to something which is non-human. For example, you at night you look up at the sky and you see stars, and you imagine that those stars are winking at you. You're feeling like that, and winking is a kind of a human quality that we usually attribute only to a person. It's actually a human quality, not a star quality. But even when it is a human quality, we are saying that the stars are winking at me. So that means you're giving or attribute that kind of a human characteristic to something which is not human. See the examples off screen. The stars winked at me, or the wind whistled throughout the day. Whistling is a kind of a human nature, and you're attributing the same human nature to wind. So that is a personification. Now, there is a beautiful personification example from William Shakespeare, the world famous playwright. He has written around 150 sonnet, and this is sonnet 18. And it is titled, "Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day?" See, even the title is catchy. And there is a beautiful line taken from that particular sonnet. He writes like this: "Sometime too hot, the eye of heaven shines." Can you tell me what is the eye of heaven? It's of course sun, right? But sun is getting personified as to the eye of a human being. So that is how something which is not human is given a human quality. Now, if I give you a certain worksheet like this, just see whether you can circle what is being personified in the first line. The grapevine climbed quickly up the garden post. So what do you think about that? Which is the thing, which is the non-human thing that is getting personified in this line? Of course, it is the grapevine, because grapevine is attributed the human quality of climbing. Again, see the next example. The smell of cookies drifted into the room. Actually, a person